creating a base for each base for my video chronicle lesson and crystallist, mainly crystallist. Okay, so basically, okay, so these two are fills, and they're basically, okay, wait, where are they? There we go. These two are basically human, kind of. Only if they weren't called Nawas, they're basically human, right? They're the human analog for the world of crystal estimate. And so they have the base male and female meshes, in which every single other one is based off. And so then we have this, I don't know, I kind of classify each, there's like some sort of internal classification between the various races, and end up being grouped in groups of 6. So here's the first 6. And the first of that one is the ferals, which is basically the color. That's all there is. These guys are just blue. They have light blue skin and dark blue eyes. That's the main defining feature. They also have wider noses, but I did not modify the mesh to show that. Next are the Dugans, which are these ones. As you can see, they do have different ears, and they also have different body marks, and which kind of show what kind of up to the age of 20 something for that. It shows depending on which marks they have and don't have, it shows their age, and actually they're missing the ear marks. But overall, and actually two things alongside the ear marks, which are not shown, their face marks, which is for this one, there's 3 dots and this triangle. Those two ears and face marks are inherited. Now the marks around the eyes are standard, just like the hands and legs, but there are different variations of face marks. Like this one has a triangle, this one has 3 dots, and then there could be others that they have a stripe around their cheek, and so on and so forth. Also, they have feral noses, unlike the fills. They have a different shaped nose. I call it feral. I don't know what's the actual term, but animalistic. Feral is shorter wording. Then we have the discom, and again they also have feral noses, and they have brownish fur. And one thing, the males have thicker tails and the females have longer tails. Similarly with the ears, males have thicker ears and furrier, while females have thinner ears. Oh yeah, and also one thing that I forgot to mention is also quite important is the number of fingers. See, these ones have 5, these ones have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these ones also have 4. And oh yeah, and like I said, since these ones have blue eyes, these ones have yellow eyes, these ones have green eyes, and light blue eyes with darker blue skin, and light blue. They're missing more markings, but this is the main, like they have markings under their basically under mouths, right? Denture sphere. I don't know. And also these are markings. This is not hair or anything. It's also marking. We should also have markings on the head, and have the markings for this ones. Also, like the females have this kind of structure, and the males have this one. And while you can see the females, their head crests, I don't know, head crests, whatever. Uh, for the males, they point upwards, and even though this female is showing pointing downward, for females, they can also point upwards. I mean, since I can only do one representative right now, I can't show the entire range of variation between the on each race. But these ones don't have too much variation. Later ones do. And like the lower, these are the next one with red eyes. Oh yeah, and their hands. One thing about their hands is that they're wide and flat with 3 fingers, and they also have tails. Like disc-like tails. But okay, now the lures. The lures, one nice thing is that the white of their eyes is black, and like actually many things that are usually tend to be white are actually black. And now that I'm thinking of it, should their teeth be black as well? But that one I haven't thought about. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But not. The other thing that we're thinking of is like their hair. That when they grow older, it turns black instead of white. And also when they tan, instead of turning darker, they turn lighter. Because they mainly live in deserts, so they kind of so they're kind of exposed to the sun a lot. And also one thing, they have 4 fingers. Their fingers are pointy, they're just claw-like. And these are their ears, kind of like horns, but they're covered with skin. And actually I'll get to that later. Then we have the aria, and they don't have too much. The noses are a bit different. They get more straight down. The ears are a bit pointier, and the hands are wider, but they have the full 5 fingers. And yeah, they have purple eyes and light purple skin. Okay, one thing, one kind of deciding design factor on them was the color. Mainly, like, eventually, yeah, kind of, especially like for the discount, it kind of wouldn't have worked. But let me explain it first. Is that let's see, what can I open a color thingy? Okay. Let me. Okay, basically their color are basically pure. Especially, well, it's still reflected on their eyes, and it should also have been their hair color. Let's see, this is what I mean. Wait, there we go. The lore's color is pure red. The discoms are pure green. The frills are pure blue. The aria are purple or magenta. The mahir, oh yeah, those are mahir. My here are cyan, and then the Dugans. Oh yeah, those are Dugans. Would have been yellow. So that was a kind of major design. Their hair colors reflect that, and he told you their eye colors. Well, the except for the hair color of the discount, the hair color is red and orange because they would look silly with green hair. But and while like originally earlier in designing them, I tried to keep that color theme kind of symbolic, represent whatever. It eventually phased out, kind of being designs would have been better, not following that color symbology. But at least the first six do follow it closer than the rest. And actually, the rest, it kind of does follow a better symbology than the other ones have a more variety than the earlier ones. Kind of. Okay, that, but. Okay, these are the next six. The molts. One thing on that is that they're very monochromatic. There's a bunch of shades of gray. And their hair is like jet black. And one thing, they have very large irises. How I mentioned them is that their irises are so white that they look like they have, uh, yeah, basically whited out eyes. And yeah, then we have the laurel. They're basically, yeah, just green with yellow instead of white on their eyes and pink eyes. Oh yeah. Okay, one thing. Okay, the elements basically what element they represent. These guys are ice, lightning, earth, water, fire, and wind. Um, Additionally, they represent um, health, speed, strength. What was it? It wasn't attack, or was it? This guy's attack. Okay, whatever. I forgot. But the main thing is because, okay, let me introduce this one again. The morts kind of are the design around death, essentially. They wear robes like bishops and stuff like that. And oh, their weapons, long staff, uh, blades, rifle, trident, razors, and boomerangs. A couple of them are like, um, I'll get to that later, but okay, their weapons is the scythe. And so I tried to get a lot of death kind of motif into their design. And being that culturally, one of their main beliefs is that uh, death is a reward to the living for them to like exist in another plane. However, this is all false, but that's what they believe. And being that they have one of the longest lifetimes of all the races, and so they see other living creatures die before them, and like they feel like that's a reward for them. If for some reason they're getting punished on not being allowed to die. Though they do die, but it's incredibly long for them, like hundreds of years. And so actually, like, they did commit suicide, once they reach like they feel like they have to earn their death, and when they do something they feel like is honorable, then they commit suicide. So there's very few, if any, morts that have lived their entire natural lives, and because they all commit suicide. And then we have with this guy's Daryl, their um, life, and again, man, I should have rehearsed this. It's going to look like. The races come on top of being separated into groups of 6. They're also separated in pairs, thematic pairs, kind of. So like these ones, and then these ones, and then these ones are all have some sort of also greater design motif on them. Like, yeah, these ones have something on life and death too. These ones are on like war and military, and these ones are on cultural dominance and also gender equality. Being that and this one the male is very dominant, and on this one the female is very dominant. But well, on these ones are more explicit, more life and death, even conservative and liberal ideals, kind of. And so these ones are based on life, and actually one tiny little thing. They have 3 fingers. But yeah. And one thing about them is that they're extremely party loving and have a very rapid development, physical development, but very slow mental development and maturity. And they do tend to die younger. So like in contrast of these guys that have a very long natural life, these guys have a short natural life, and they don't even get, and they both neither get to live that long. Okay, these ones are placeholders. Those are the Zeller, and they're designed around bulls and strength and labor and stuff like that. Then the Minka, and as you can see, I've fleshed out the male, but not the female. But the female will only get, well, the male doesn't have the tail yet, and the female will only get the ears and tail. It doesn't have claws. Yeah, one thing that I'm trying to do is that some species that are very, there's a huge difference between gender, and some other ones don't have as great difference. And like these ones do have a greater difference. Like these ones don't. And actually these ones have like the huge gender difference. The males, they have like the biggest males of all species and the smallest females. But they are, well actually, there is a smaller female, but their males are the same size. So, and they're female dominated. Being that one of the common thing between these two is like strength versus intelligence. Like, yeah, basically muscle over mind, or mind over muscle, which one, so on and so forth. And while these ones are overall pure strength, these ones are overall pure mind. Like one thing that the females constantly levitate. It's natural for them to just levitate. And being that it's kind of considered people that levitation is for like psychics and stuff like that, so it must be like mentally powerful stuff. So that's why I designed them to levitate, but they don't levitate because they're strong, but because they have some association with wind. Oh yeah, another thing. Oh, keep forgetting stuff. Just like, okay, all these ones were created by one element, and I already mentioned them, right? Ice, lightning, earth, water, fire, and wind. All the rest of them are created by two elements. And so like one of the elements that created this one was wind. And that's one of the reasons they can levitate. And even though, yeah, they have tiger and leopard pattern skins, they will have a greater variety. And oh yeah, these guys will have brown or orange eyes, and these guys have green eyes. And also their eyes are different, they're pointy cat-like eyes. Okay, the next one, the Minka. I mean, not the Minka, Murai. Very creatively enough, they were based after the samurai, the Minka. And so again, these guys are based on the common theme is warfare. These guys are based on the samurai, and the Jin over here are based on the ninja, creative. But anyway, it's not just samurai, but also like knights and that kind of stuff. And yeah, they're basically just every color, dark skin, dark reddish skin, and slightly pointy ears, not too much. And yeah, and so here we have also Jin. Another thing is that they are more order and chaos. One thing is that they're all just sharing the same pose, just for comparison's sake. But like these people, I'm trying to give them a more not necessarily erratic, but an odd kind of movement. Like one thing is that the pinkies will always be offset from whatever the rest of their fingers are doing. And again, they're basically just a human recolor with yellow skin and light blue eyes, and nothing different on the ears. 5 fingers, 4 fingers, with a feral nose. And yeah, and then the last set. However, this set and the previous set are still on the same set compared. The first one, since they were only created by one element, and this set and the previous one were both created by 2 elements. Now these ones are the emo, and I kind of later discovered that there is like a culture called emo, and they have nothing to do with that culture. As a matter of fact, these ones are closer to that emo culture, real life emos, than this one. I don't know where I came up with the name emo, but see, as you can see down here, maybe it's I am. So I added an H just to differentiate it a bit further, but even the spelling is a bit different, a lot different. But yeah. Yeah, so they have orange, red irises and hair with pale white bluish skin. And one thing is that they have a single fingered hand, like a mitten like hand. I haven't updated the armature yet, but they have a mitten hand basically. Being that they deal with snow. The one thing is that these guys are comfortable in very low temperatures, like how we feel comfortable on room temperatures. Their room temperature will be significantly lower, like freezing levels, and they feel comfortable with that. So like they wear summer like attire and like ice fields and stuff like that. And then we have the Corellia. And this one I kind of do represent their range a lot more. And I think I messed up the whatever. Well, originally I wanted to give the female the darker skin and the male the lighter skin, being that it simply has to do with their culture. They're based on dogs and bunnies, and what's it called? So they have a wide variety of coats, and their eye colors actually ranges between three: green, blue, and reds. Yeah, that's basically, you could say that's basically all of them. But one thing about them is that how they are hereditary. Like, yeah, if both parents have the same color, you get the child will get either one of the other two. And if both parents have different color, the child will get the same one that the parents don't have. And like they have big hair. Like one of the main design motif of these ones are punk and western. So they have like a really big punk like hair, bright color, neon color. That's why it's like feel like you can see their eyebrows. That will be the color of their hair, and they're always like bright neon colors. And these guys are not. Which ones are these ones? Oh, the wolves. Yeah, they're gonna be completely replaced. I mean, they're just placeholder just to have something here. But basically, they're quadrupeds. And yeah, then the tinks. The tinks are extremely big over here. They'll probably be closer to like this size, maybe there's such, but basically they're based after fairies. And actually, one thing is their teeth. The males have, I mean, it's not exclusive, but males tend to have this more like goofy Dale style teeth, and females tend to have this chip or like kind of style of teeth. And yeah, that's based around Goofy, Chip and Dale. That's why I decided this. And they also have this different color irises. And yeah, for females, and actually it's consistent that like females, their bright iris is gonna be more bluer, and their bright iris more redder, and that's opposite for the males. And another one that's just a placeholder, the K-pop. Their body shape is more like centaur-like. So, yeah. And finally, the Retin. Well, these guys will have a substantial remake also, because they're very thin and lanky, and like being okay. The theme of this two is like monsters. So not only is this guy a centaur, it's like they originally started more like werewolves, so they do have like many wolf-like features, centaur feature, griffin, stuff like that. They don't have wings though. Well, these ones are like more Frankenstein, zombie, vampire, like mostly like the undead monsters, and like so like kind of like their body markings kind of represent, look like rotted flesh, but they're not. They're quite alive, but they're based on like monster stuff. And like their nose is actually inward. Yeah, they don't have an actual nose, and they also have wings, like bat-like wings in their hands, and there will actually be technically six-fingered people. But three of those fingers are modified to hold the wings, while the other three are used for regular hand stuff. And yeah, basically, there's one more set, and this set is of three. While these two were created by two races, two elements each, because of the special bond each element has, the elements themselves are paired. And it makes this one special. Like these ones, the Aether were created by wind and fire. These two, which will be the Drevi, were created by earth and water. And these two guys, the Nawa, were created by ice and lightning. And the elements themselves have a relationship to each other on those pairings. As a matter of fact, ice will be the son of fire and wind. No, ice is the son of earth and water, while lightning is the daughter of fire and wind. So it makes this one kind of special. And on top of that, the design motif is of basically angels, demons, and humans. That kind of divine divinity and all that kind of stuff. The Aether are based on angels, the Drevi and demons, and the Nawa and humans. These three are among the rarest of all the races. And basically, yeah, that's it. Yay.